Falling short. Issues of Uncle J. Tyrell, I called out, catching the attention of one of my young volunteers as he was leaving the youth center I managed. Yes, Joseph, responded the well-mannered 13-year-old boy. I have a task for you, volunteer, I said, subtly emphasizing the fact that I now wanted him to earn the title he had requested for. What is it? I put forward a funding application to the YLC for our summer residential, and we have been put through to the second round. That's great news. Yes, it is. Now I need some young people to give a presentation to the panel, convincing them to give us funding I applied for, and I want you to be one of them. I'm not good at public speaking though. Don't worry, I will teach you, and we'll have time to practice. Yeah, but I've seen other people my age give presentations, and I don't think I'll ever be as good as them. Why not? They seem so confident, and they remember everything they want to say. I, for one, get so scared when I stand in front of people to talk that I can barely speak. Public speaking, like everything else, is a skill that can be learnt. But I'm so rubbish at it. Let me tell you something, Tyrell. Everyone is rubbish at all things before they become good at anything. Are you sure about that? I've seen some amazing people with little to no training. Tell me something. How many people do you know that came out of their mother's womb with any skill other than crying? None? Exactly. I then put my hand on Tyrell's shoulder, looked him dead in the eyes and said, yes, there are things we pick up easier than others, and for you, public speaking might not be one of them. But I assure you, learning anything is not beyond you. Episode 4. Learning. Reality check. A reality check is needed when two complete strangers meet for the first time and say they are in love. A reality check is needed when one tries to find happiness without making other people happy. A reality check is needed when people expect satisfaction in achievements they didn't really work for. A reality check is needed when one believes in equal rights but has a problem with people openly expressing their opinions. A reality check is needed for all those who believe that someday, under man's rule, the world will be a better place for everyone, everywhere. Growing up as a child in London, learning for me was a healthy, natural, organic, and free-flowing process. Because if I lacked knowledge in any way, there were teachers to help, encourage, and generally support, which in turn brought out and enhanced things God had naturally placed within me, the most prominent being storytelling. When I moved to Nigeria, things changed. What was placed within me was no longer acknowledged, let alone celebrated, not to mention the fact that if I didn't know something, I would be attacked or ridiculed. All in all, from as young as 7 years old, for me it seemed like the world had already decided that not only was I not worthwhile, but I could never be worthwhile. Learning for me became this horrible and torturous process, which was about revealing how useless I am. And I don't mean in the growing pains or iron being refined in fire type of way. I mean you might as well be thrown in the garbage type of way. Plus, I didn't have a family to armor me up with love and encouragement while engaging a far more harsh Nigerian society. The fact that all my tormentors were doing better in school than I was didn't help, particularly with Rotimi, who was the same age as me, but was in a year ahead of me in primary school, and 2 years ahead of me in secondary school, due to the fact that in Nigeria, what class you ended up in was based on ability rather than age. His father, my uncle, would blatantly invest more tutoring in Rotimi than he would with me. I remember passing my common entrance exams into secondary school in primary 5, but was still made to do an extra year in primary school because I didn't get an exceptional mark like Rotimi did. During secondary school I struggled and even begged for my uncle to provide extra academic support, but I was ignored. I guess he didn't owe me anything, but it added to my negative view on learning. However, looking back, I was doing fine. Not outstanding, but fine enough not to be given up on, even if you were looking at me from a hardcore meritocratic stance. As I mentioned earlier on, I picked up the habit of lying as a defense mechanism because I embraced the notion that I was incapable of improving myself. A notion that followed me back to England, along with the thought that learning is meant to be a horrible and torturous process, which led me to doing a degree I didn't enjoy and was not compatible with. It is true what the Bible says, the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. For it was only after I rededicated my life to Christ that I began to engage a healthy stance in the context of learning. God began to reprogram me and I began to effectively develop in many ways. I began to engage with things I had naturally been drawn to in the past, such as the creative arts, martial arts, teaching, and mentoring. Don't get me wrong, I'm not there yet. I'm still in many ways all over the place. But God has brought me out of the shadows with regards to the lie that I'm worthless now and forever. Again, don't get me wrong, for I'm not where I should be. But God has broken me out of the lie that learning automatically has to be pointlessly torturous and horrible, as well as absent from the purpose of benefiting me in any way. My experience has definitely left me with an intense desire to be encouraging and motivational when I teach people, whether it's appreciated or not. Because at the end of the day, learning is about growing and being inspired to the point that you help other people grow and be inspired, especially when it comes to learning about the things of God. My Anime Life, Episode 4. Using Sandra's orphanage bus, Jay reluctantly drove all 30 orphans along with Denise to the large gates of a sanctuary for children who for various reasons didn't have a home. "It's good to see you again," said a bald, slim and elderly Japanese man, dressed in an outfit similar to Jay's. "Hello, Toshi. These children need sanctuary," responded Jay, while Denise and the children remained on the bus. "There's plenty of room," said Toshi, leading them all through gates into a large compound that was reminiscent of a typical Western university campus, filled with what seemed hundreds of children learning everything from mathematics, hand-to-hand combat, weaponry, public speaking, computer science, and the list went on. "This place is impressive," gasped Denise. "Here, children aren't just fed and clothed, they are empowered to serve the world around them, and to teach the next generation to do the same," said Toshi, as 5 members of his staff led the children that came with Jay away to get settled. "Stay with them. They will need you to be their mother," said Jay to Denise, which in turn prompted her to follow the children immediately. "I'm surprised you brought anyone to me," said Toshi. "I know to you they are simply recruits for your army, but right now children like them have only 2 options, be a soldier or be a slave. I will do right by them. For what it's worth, the night you spared my life changed me," ensured Toshi. Jay could only respond with a blank look before walking away. Falling Short complete series can be found on JOMAJ Studios' YouTube channel. Falling Short is also available in paperback book format or on Kindle. To get your copy, email jomajstudios@gmail.com. That's jomajstudios@gmail.com.